Good evening, my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy. I'm coming to you live from Applewood Station, where it's actually 12 degrees out there. And not bad. Not going to complain much about that at all. I'm just saying. Pretty cool. So how are we all doing out there tonight? How are things going out there? Is everything lovely? You're having a good time. You're doing the things you need to do. Is that what's happening? Because it should be. So, I've been rearranging my light organization here, and you might see that I am now at a different lighting, which is great. And less filling. Wait. And gives me great lighting when I do something like this. This is some good color right here. I'm just saying, got some good color going for me. Got a nice bounce going on over here, and a little bit of bounce lighting and stuff like that. So, I'm not staying on for very long tonight. Hanging out for a minute or two, make sure everybody's okay out there in the universe. But for the most part, it's about time for me to go to bed, prep for school tomorrow, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be doing that a little bit. Tomorrow I'm going to watch a couple of videos on the grammar points that are hitting us up this next week on Japanese, in hopes to kind of get ahead of the ball. I'll have to see. Who knows? So it's the way it is. It's what it's. So that works for me. Hey, Brent. Got my new lighting setup going on here. It's cooler. Like I said, it's very dramatic when I'm like this. Super dramatic colors. Just saying. Pretty cool lighting. Sometimes you just need cool lighting. And a bunch of paints. I have a bunch of paints now. I ordered up a whole bunch of Vallejo paints. So, because one of the guys at the game wants me to paint up all of his minis. And I was out of paints, so I bought new paints. Seemed like a thing to do. Because all my paints are starting to dry up. It's becoming kind of a pain to try to do your minis if all of your paints are all dried up. So there's that. But I'm tired tonight. I'm running out of steam. and is gonna do some work on trying to figure out what I was going to do tonight, and just don't have it in me tonight. So the good news is that it looks like all my medications are going to be finally filled tomorrow, so that'll at least help a little bit on this kind of erratic up and down sort of things with the attention deficit going weird on me and executive function failure, because that's what we all need is executive function failure. Everybody loves that. So that's all right, we're getting there. Coolest part about this setup is I can switch to this mode. And then switch back to this mode. Just saying. I'm working this situation. We're getting all set up and rigged for doing things with Guy Sensei. And today I was at a con trying to get information from the convention. That was cool. And that sounded like I could not get information. I did. And it worked just fine. And I got all the data that I was looking for and pulled extra data, and that was kind of cool. I did an interview, and I think I have changed my thesis appropriately to something else now, and I'm going to have to refine it a little bit more before I kind of release that to the world, but it seemed very interesting to people. So that's fine. I feel like I'm kind of coasting a little bit tonight and just not quite together and with it. I'm not sure what my story is tonight, but I'm just really spacey and strange, which is fine. So my thought is, I think I might just bow out here. Let you. I mean, you'll be wanting to go to bed pretty soon anyway, Brent. So that'll be cool. And I do have cool new lighting, although I'm gonna pull this back. You mean for my thesis? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, I'm just, I don't know if I'm feeling necessarily overwhelmed per se. Just, I am frustrated a little bit with my teacher from my Japanese class because I feel like I cannot communicate with her well. And that's aggravating to me because my current score in the class is a C and falling rapidly. And that's not good. So we'll have to go and try to figure out why that's happening. And we'll figure it out, but boy, it's just been kind of a pain. So But we'll get there. We'll get there. Not that worried. For a little while there, it was a D minus. It was awesome. I don't think I've ever had a D minus or seen a D minus this millennia. So I was like, well, that's a thing. But we'll fix it. Tomorrow also is sign up for next month's or next semester's classes. And I have discovered that I have made a tactical error, which is frustrating because I was under the impression that my Japanese classes counted as an elective, and they do, but not as an anthropology elective. And so nothing has been counting up on my anthropology electives. And I still have 15 credit hours of that left to find before graduation. That's I think really what's going on is it's a textbook problem. She's teaching textbook Japanese and I really don't need textbook Japanese. So I think that's where our issues are deriving. So it's not a barrier between her and me per se, although her her responses to me don't match, and that frustrates me. Um, for example, I will say, I'm not understanding this. Can we work on this? And her response will be, you can't cheat. And I'm like, I'm not cheating. I don't have any interest in cheating. I don't want to cheat. I don't know. There's no reason for, but I think she doesn't have experience with people who don't understand the instructions half the time. So that's part of our problem. And lose focus. That's part of what's going on tonight. I feel like I'm being spacey and losing focus. Like I can't seem to stay focused and stay on task. So, yeah, actually, I just went to an entire thing about Okinawan Japanese. That was pretty interesting. So, always interesting. Something going on at all times. It's all right. Tomorrow, I'm going to be able to get back on schedule with everything. We should be doing better. I got the warp core running again. That was something that was not running for a while there, and I'm not sure what the story was behind it, but I plugged it into a different outlet and unplugged the outlet it was plugged into, and now it's working again. It has been off for a long time. So I'm working on fixing that one. But we're getting there. We're getting there. So, yeah. Thinking about anything else. I was at Mile High Con this weekend. That was cool. I like Mile High Con. It's a very small, comfortable convention. And I did sort of random distribution analysis. So I gave out questionnaires. Had people fill out the questionnaires and send them back. So yeah, I mean that's my whole thing is I'm just gonna make it through this semester. All will be good. Then I'll be in Japan and we'll be awesome and things will be good and the birds will sing and the flowers will bloom and yada yada yada. So, which reminds me, one thing I really want to do is look up eSIM. Looking for data. Thing here. Yeah, because like these eSIMs for like 8 days. Let's see, what's 31 days? 31 days is 100 gigabytes for 31 days. And that's 8,000 yen. It's $80. You're saying data or data? Data. Mr. Data. It's data. What's the difference? One is my name, the other is not. Voice and data. See, for voice and data, I could get yeah, I mean 7,900 yen gets me voice and data for 30 days on the Docomo network. It's not bad. And I get a real Japanese phone number. That's funnier than it needs to be because I don't really need a Japanese phone number. The only person who's ever going to call me is my bestie. And my bestie still uses his American number for it. And he still calls me on my American number. So maybe just data is all we'll need. And I'll just be on my Google Voice for the duration. That might not be a bad idea. The only thing I'm worried about is not being able to get a hold of my kid because she's going with me and I don't want to lose the kid somehow in Japan. So it's the only concern I really have is I don't want to lose the kiddo in the process. So yeah, she's not. So that's not a bad plan too. I mean, obviously, kiddo probably should be able to communicate back. No, actually, I'm hoping, again, I'm kind of hoping that mom will stay nearby so that George will have somebody to take care of him because it's George, you know. So, yeah, it still amazes me looking at this how complicated and difficult this still is. Like, I was there 15 years ago and it was a pain to make it all work. And they've had 15 years of cell phone technology. an evolution. I mean, there weren't even smartphones when I was there. The iPhone hadn't been invented really, or if it had, it was just barely getting started. I don't remember it being. I mean, I remember the iPad coming along in '09, right after we got back to the States. But yeah, I mean, and I'm sitting here going, and it's still, you got to do all these bits and pieces and, well, split the difference. Oh, how about 100? Does that sound good? Just go with 100. We'll do that. English speaking customer support. So, there you go. So, that'll work. So, yeah, actually, I'm looking at this and going, I don't know. Because I've got a VoIP service, obviously, because I use Google Voice. So, I'm still looking at this sim and thinking this is probably ideal because I'll just use VoIP, right? And I'll just keep doing VoIP services, and that sounds fine to me. So I don't think I want to swap out my SIM card. That seems ridiculous. But if I do these eSIMs, I should have internet from the moment we land, which is the important thing because, of course, uh, James is deployed to some weird place for the first 8 days we're there. So he's just going to leave his keys with the landlord, and I'll have to just ask the landlord when I get there. So, but that does mean landing at Narita, getting onto the trains, and it's like a 3 hour train ride because he's on the south side of Tokyo. But that's okay. It'll be fun. And hopefully I'll get some sleep on the flight. But even if I don't, we'll make it work. Try not to make it so that I'm sleeping on the trains. But my suitcase has got wheels, so I can just roll it behind me. And as long as we're not in the middle of the day, rush hour, I think we might be in the middle of the day, rush hour. That could be. Oh, yeah. I don't seem to suffer jet lag as bad going there as I do coming back. I have a real problem with it coming back. You know what I mean? Like, that's always been my problem, is coming back. I'll be fine going there. It should be okay. Alrighty. I do get to fly on a 787, which is one of the airplanes that's on my list of aircraft that I have not flown on yet. And so I'll get to check off 787s from my list, which is good because I likes those planes and I wanted to fly on one. I want to make sure I have kind of, it's got to be, I've got to have a list. Just saying. All right. I'm looking up my flight information here. There's no way. Hey, Garuda. I'm just going to say there's a difference between Florida and Japan there, Brent. I'm just saying. So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that flight. Um, let's see here. I have to reply to an email. No, that's not good. I mean, on the one hand, that could be fascinating, just not in a positive way. Garuda, you were in Japan 19 years ago? Was that 2005? Because, like, you left and I got there. Because I got there in 06. If it was 2007, then you and I were in the same country at the same time. That's all right. All right. I am looking for my tickets. Well, I'm not finding them here. Let's see if I have. Where did I hide these things? Where did my sister get them? I think my sister got them. Which is fine. That means I can't pull them up easily to check them. Today's flight to Japan departed late. That's weird. Especially since there's nothing really outside going on that would warrant them leaving late. So that's kind of strange. So anyway, I need to go over. My phone died, so any messages I make to my phone have to be done from the charger over here. It's actually good because now it's. You must pay for that, Garuda. Pay for the stream, whatever. I don't know. I assume that it's pay for that because it's always pay for the thing, you know. I am. Oh. Alrighty. Yeah, it's only 12 hours. It's a 12-hour flight. That's not bad. Problem is that it's going to arrive at 3:45 on Tuesday. Yeah, Garuda, that was the thing. YouTube is exactly the same way. I love the fact that there is an Austria port. Can you imagine thinking you're flying to Australia? You get off the plane and you're in Austria. That just sounds miserable. You know what I mean? That'd be like getting on the plane to go to Japan and ending up in Jakarta. How did I end up here? Not where I wanted to go. You know. My sister sent a picture of me. No, 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 no. But if you're headed for Japan, there's a picture of me at the Eiffel Tower. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, I was about to say it would be awesome if I wasn't like expected somewhere. So there we go. So it actually departs at 11:30. I like the Kolkata. So you're saying Kolkata is bad, huh? I'm just saying. This is what you just said there, Gruda. All right. So at least there is one plus. This cost a lot of money it cost a lot more than we wanted to pay for this ticket. Almost ended up costing us twice as much as what we were expecting to pay. So you're like, well, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've been on that side of the world a couple of times now, and I really have to admit I do like Europe. I don't know if I like it as much as I like Asia, but I do like Europe, and I like traveling around Europe. I love the fact that the Europeans tend to go with manuals still. That makes me happy. Um, because I like to drive manual transmissions, and they're a dying breed here in America, and so I'm kind of bummed about that. But that's all right. We're getting there anyway. So I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. No, I'm bitter. I'm very, very bitter about that. I'm just saying I'm bitter. So you're very familiar with the city. It sounds somewhat ominous. Yeah, exactly. That's what we rented a car in Wiesbaden, and that was the whole thing. They were like because they were sitting there going, here's your car, here's your rental. And my sister and I both just jumped in and drove off, and you could see them in the rearview mirror going, weren't they Americans? I thought they were Americans. They were waiting for us to kill it or whatever. But both my sister and I have driven manual for so long, and I still drive manual, of course. My current car is a 6 speed, and it didn't even slow me down. I just hopped in and put it in first gear and drove off. Wiesbaden's beautiful. It was also remarkably cold, like colder than I expected it to be. It was April, so I mean, or no, I'm sorry, it was not April. It was February. So you can expect that it would be cold. Like that makes some sense. However, I don't know, in my head, and it's really weird. I have that disassociation thing where you think that Europe is lower on the map than it is. and you can't quite grasp the fact that most of Europe is like in the same equatorial belt as Canada. And so, like, I just keep having this problem with, but it should be warm. We're down here by, you know, Italy and stuff. So I just have this like problem with that. But that's all right. We got there. And that's my infamous story. My sister then, good night, Brent. We'll see you later. I'm not going to stay on much longer either. My sister and I rented this car because we were going to drive to Berlin because I wanted to see Berlin. I've never been to Berlin. I wanted to see the Berlin Wall because that came down in my lifetime. And so that was an event. That was a moment in my lifetime. So I was like, I really wanted to go see the Berlin Wall and touch it and like physically see that there was once a wall there, you know. So we were going to go up to Berlin, and so my sister rented a car because her car had already been shipped over. And so we rented this car, and it rolls up and it's a freaking Renault. And we get in, and this thing can probably make like 100 kilometers an hour if it tried, if you really pushed it. So we get out onto the Autobahn, and here I am on the frickin' Autobahn, and I finally get the right to be on the Autobahn, and we're in a Renault, and I'm like, ugh. I mean, like, I'm a car guy, right? So, like, I'm sitting here going, I was waiting for something with some class, and we're getting passed by Subaru Outbacks, and I'm like, really, really? It's just so that's my story of the Autobahn. I'm gonna have to go back. I'm just gonna have to go back because, bro, like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to rent myself a reasonable vehicle and get out on the Autobahn and really do something. Because, like, I'm sitting there going, really? Really? So, yeah, that's the way that worked. That didn't go over as well as we wanted it to. When I go to Japan, though, I mean, so it's so funny because I have expectations of performing in the areas that they are performed at. Like when I go to Japan, my buddy has a K car. It's got 660 cc's. That's it. It pushes probably 50 horses if you're lucky. And I don't expect anything massive out of it. I'm going to have way too much fun driving on little teeny roads, whipping around little teeny corners, and going really, really, really slow and enjoying every last minute of that. And I'm going to enjoy that drive so much. And we won't go fast. We won't be going fast at all. There's no fast. We'll just be tootling along. You know what I mean? Like just going. We'll be doing our thing. And I'll love it. And that's going to be great. And so that was sort of my thought process on this one was I was really going to enjoy and it's I do so I like to be doing whatever it is the vehicles do, like experience the world. And I love driving K cars. They're little, they don't go very fast, but I absolutely adore driving them. They are the bestest things on the planet. But you don't expect miracles out of K cars, you know? Right. But see, this is a joke that we understand because we drove a frickin' Renault. I don't know. A Citroen, you've got to love that car. It's ugly. It's so ugly, but it's an iconic vehicle. You know what I mean? It's super iconic. So, All righty. So we're going to be arriving at Narita Terminal 1 at 15:45. By the time we clear customs and get our baggage and all of that stuff, it'll be 16:30, maybe even coming up on 1700, which is not a problem. But then we have to figure out how to stay out of downtown. So if we think we're going to be at 1700, maps.google.com. Let's get over there, hang out in Japan real quick. I'm going to pop out over here and travel across the ocean and check out our location here. Pick the roommate's house. And you know what? I'm just going to do this one and say that. And say directions from Narita. Let's go. Sure. Walking. That's good. Good job, Google. Because it'll take like 5 days to walk to his apartment. That's actually not so bad. It's an hour and a half is what it's saying, but that's right now. Depart at, let's try, I don't know, 5 o'clock. Let's just say 5 o'clock. And then boop, boop, boop. Oof, Wednesday. Oof. It's still only going to take 2 hours. Ooh, it's got a romance car, which does not mean the things you think it means, which is even funnier. It's going to take 2 hours. So it's going to be a 14-hour, call it 15 hours for good measure, trek. And then we'll be at his apartment. It'll be dark by the time we get there. That's going to be fun. But yeah, it's saying take the Skyliner to the Yamanote. Yamanote around the loop. The Yamanote is the one that I'm worried the most about. Although it looks like we transferred to the Yamanote when we took this line here. It's 36 minutes in from Narita to the Yamanote switch. So 5:38, and we end up at Nippori. Ugh. Counterclockwise, go towards Shinjuku. 10 stops, platform 11. We got a long. Takes about 3 minutes to get to the Yamanote. It doesn't really matter because it's the Yamanote. It'll be there every 5 minutes. So, or every 10 minutes, I guess. Doesn't really matter. But either way, then we'll hop off at Shinjuku. Walk about 2 minutes to the Odakyu. Odakyu is a rapid. Because it doesn't really matter to Machida. Cool. It's going to cost us about 3,100 yen. Not a big deal. That should be easy. All right. Sent it to my Google Calendar. Make it purple. All right. All right. There we go. So, yep, I'm just setting up stuff. So, yeah. Anyway. I just didn't look goodly enough. My sister is like, but I sent that information to you. And I'm like, yeah. There we go. My sister has discovered she can do photo emojis of her cat. So now I've got all these emojis of her cat. And she sends to me all the time. I'm like, well, I guess that's a thing. All right, guys. I think I'm running out of concentration and I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm apparently just going through and erasing the kids' start times because the kid's not going to school while we're in Japan. So I'm like going through and going, okay, I'll just delete these from the calendar because, like, we don't need to worry about it. Wish there was a way to put a thing on hiatus in the calendar because all I've got is I've got every day and or no days. Yeah, you can delete it from this point forward, and that's about it. But I mean, we're going back to school at some point, so don't want to delete them. Just want them to be on hiatus. And I don't think we start school again. I don't start school until like the 20th or something really weird. Like, no long. Yeah. Like, there's a ridiculously long amount of time that we've got to deal with stuff. And I'm working forever. So, yep, looking at all the things. All of our classes stop. It's pretty funny, actually. And I'm not sure if we have class on the 11th. I should probably ask my Japanese teacher if we have class on the 11th. So I have to see whether we've got classes on the 11th, because that's important, because she's a strict stickler for attendance and stuff like that. And so I'm worried that, I mean, even though I'm heading back to like literally her hometown, it's still kind of one of those things, like, I'm afraid she's going to ding me for it. No, I don't want to that. So, all right. I think I'm bowing out, Garuda. I'm making no sense now. I'm starting to ramble senselessly. Senselessly ramble. You know. So, I have to see how things work. All right. So I'm going to head on out. It was good chatting with you. I will see you later, my friend. I hope you enjoy your TGC simulator. And I hope if anybody else is watching that they have a wonderful evening as well. And as always, remember to keep your eyes on the stars. Good night.